So this channel is a little bit different than the others. I've been broken up with over 75 times by the most absolutely beautiful, but the most toxic, abusive woman I've ever met in my entire life. Today is actually day 100 of going no contact from a toxic, abusive partner, aka narcissistic, aka borderline, aka who cares? If you're in a relationship with one of these people, you should get away and get away as quickly as possible. But I'm trying to do things differently here than a lot of the channels. I feel a lot of the information out there is just the same thing being regurgitated over and over by everyone just saying the same thing, and I think there's more to it than the general narrative out there. Like I said, today is day 100, so it's actually a day for celebration. 100 days ago, I finally blocked this woman who'd broken up with me over 75 times and put me through the most horrendous 3 years of my life. I'm normally coping, hanging on to life, in a bottle, anxiety medication, just trying to keep myself here on this planet, really. So I've been documenting this journey of going no contact and just the highs and lows, what I'm feeling, and kind of changing some things up as we move forward this year. But I just want to speak on a couple things real quick. I've actually got some notes today rather than just going off the cuff. But like I said, I'm very vulnerable here with you guys, and just being at day 100, you know, I've been up, down, and all around in this. And one thing I want to speak on, and I suggest that you guys don't do, because a lot of this is so you can hopefully learn from my mistakes. You know, I've been doing good. I've been doing strong. Holidays were a bit rough, you know, but I found myself last night. I pulled up pictures of her and videos of her that I have, you know, because I just wanted to see it. Like, I remember I did that a couple weeks ago even, and like, I had actually thought about it, and like, I almost forgot what she looked like. I had her like so far removed from my head or my mind that like, I almost couldn't even picture what she looked like. And I did it then, and that really set me back. And I did it last night, and honestly, I highly recommend not doing that. First off, I made it a purpose to get her out of like the normal places I could see her on my phone, my favorites and all that stuff. I moved it all to a folder so that way it was kind of out of sight, out of mind, and not really coming across it. But I chose to go to it. Y'all, getting out of these relationships, it really is like a drug addiction. And it's like detoxing from some kind of drug or alcohol or whatever. And like, I was sitting there and I was almost just like, do I do it, do I not? And like, part of me wanted to do it just to see what it felt like, but then part of me just really wanted to see her and kind of just go through some stuff. And I spent longer than I should have in there. And then that had me thinking, and then coming across pictures of, you know, the ultrasound and when we were at the doctor when she was pregnant, and the heartbeat and the baby on the monitor. And you know, for those of you who watched the horrific story about having a crazy person pregnant and losing the baby and all that stuff, like, it wasn't helpful to see. Like, I really wanted to do it, but like, I share that with you now. Like, I was in a weak moment and I was vulnerable, and I just recommend not doing it. The quicker you can get this person out of your mind, the quicker you can get their picture. I know you're not going to just delete the pictures, so like, I highly recommend moving them to a new folder, getting them just out of your normal site so you're not tempted, or it's not as easy to go look at them or go reminisce on the past. You need to really remember the bad times. You know, the bad times of what happened, not the good. You know, I was sitting there watching those videos and it was like, man, oh, this good times, and seeing the smile on her face, or seeing her laughing, or seeing this and that. And it's just like, oh, it makes you want that person again. And no, like, you know this person was horrific. You know they were abusive, that you know they were toxic, you know that you became toxic. You knew almost from the start, or at whatever point, you needed to get away. So hopefully you've done that and you continue to do so. And if you haven't done that yet, hopefully this is inspiration to kind of get away from that situation. So that's kind of what I have to say on that. You know, another thing I want to address, I just hear this over and over on all the other channels. I pay attention to all the other channels. And everyone says if you're in a narcissistic relationship or a toxic relationship or a borderline or sociopath or psychopath or what, all the above, whatever, it doesn't really matter the personality disorder or if they're diagnosed or not diagnosed. Like, but people love to say that if you're in one of these relationships, it's because you have some trauma from your childhood, you have undealt with stuff from being a kid, your parents were narcissists, you were abused, neglected, whatever. And although that might ring true for a whole lot of people, that doesn't ring true for everybody. You know, the why doesn't matter. You know, everybody wants to know about the why. Why? Okay, why? You know, I've been trying to get to the bottom of that, and I'm seeing a therapist right now, and I asked him, I was like, why? Like, why did I do that? And, you know, his kind of take was like, and I agree with this, it's like, the why doesn't matter. You can understand why all day long, but the real question is what are you going to do about it? You can understand, well, okay, yeah, this happened when I was 8, and so because of that, yes, I have this, and okay, there's definitely value in that, but not all of us have that. I didn't have any of that growing up. I have some theories for why I was able to stay in the relationship, but I've never been in a toxic relationship. I've never been in an abusive relationship like this. This is the first time. And I've had more than one relationship in my life, you know? So I know it's not from my upbringing or my narcissist, because my parents aren't narcissistic. My childhood wasn't chaotic or traumatic or I was neglected. Like, none of that existed. So, you know, a lot of people say that over and over, but that's not for everybody. So I'm gonna kind of go through some notes here, you know. Like I said, like, you can know you could try to understand the why, but if you have a repeated pattern of going to toxic relationships and having broken relationships, yeah, you might really want to dive down into the why and why you do that. And so you hopefully don't do that any further. You know, it could be, you know, as simple as, you know, yeah, you were abused when you were a kid, or you were neglected when you were a kid, or you just feel like this is the best that you deserve, and, you know, you hate yourself for whatever reason, and you know, you that's why you keep getting into these relationships. If you have like a poor pattern of repeated or bad toxic relationships, then you should definitely try to get to the bottom of that. Find a professional so you can identify that and hopefully not make the same mistakes moving forward. But, you know, for myself, like I said, this is literally the first and only romantic relationship I've been in that I would call toxic or abusive. So the why I did it, from the standpoint of everyone talking, oh, you have this thing from childhood and whatever, I don't buy into that for everyone. I know there's a lot of people that do fall into that category. And like I said, if that's you should get to the why so you don't keep doing it and keep going to these relationships. You know, yeah, you know, you could speculate all day about why, but from speaking with my therapist, you know, he kind of put it in a way that I really don't disagree with. He's like, you're attracted to very beautiful women. Your ex was incredibly gorgeous. Our physical, intimate relationship was amazing, out of this world. She showed you this really good side of her often. And for most, I'm going to speak from, I'm not a woman, so I can't speak from that standpoint. For most guys, that's going to be enough to keep you in it, and for a good while. The most beautiful woman you've ever been with a fire romantic relationship, you know what I'm saying? And shows you this really good side and love bombs you and future fakes and does all that stuff. It's going to be tough for most guys, regardless of their background, to get away from a situation like that. So I really feel like I fell into that category. And not to get too graphic, but like to get into the physical side of it, like, it was the best physical side relationship I've ever had. And having a woman as beautiful say the same thing back to me, and how great I was, and just how much I know that I was able, again, I don't mean to be like this, but I was able to satisfy her, and it made me feel very good. And to hear what she had to say back to me, how great I was, the best ever, and all that, like, I felt the same thing about her. And like, when we both met each other, we both felt from day one, I was like, I'm going to marry you. And she was like, I'm going to marry you. Like, and I can speak from being, like, I've wanted nothing more since I was a kid to be married, right? I knew what my wife looked like, or what my future wife was going to look like. I knew I wanted kids. I knew I just wanted to be a husband and a father. I've wanted that since I was a kid. And coincidentally, this woman, the image I probably had in my mind since the youth, like, she looked just like that. And we both fell head over heels in love with each other, I would say, from the beginning. And like I said, regardless of her personality disorder or whatever, like, I feel her love for me was genuine. But I also feel she's so broken and has so much stuff that it was a flip-flop back and forth. And when she was emotionally regulated, she was madly in love with me, and yes, and everything worked. But then when that came unregulated very quickly, or with alcohol, it all blew up and fell apart. So, like, I know for me, like, that's why I was in that relationship. I was, again, I don't mean to be like this, but she was like, pick a magazine cover and you could put her on it. She was I would call it supermodel gorgeous. Like, she was that pretty. No makeup, that pretty. We had a fire romantic relationship. She cooked for me. She would do great things for me. But then she also abused the crud out of me. You know, but then she would always prompt, you know, she mirrored me at the beginning. She was about all the values that I had and everything else. She was mirroring me in every way. So how, you know how hard that is to walk away from? I've been with some very beautiful women, but this was a whole nother level. And I hate to sound like that because that sounds shallow on my end, but yeah, it was lust. Lust was driving a big part of it. So for me, that's why I couldn't get away. I was with a beautiful woman that did treat me right at times, had a great physical connection, and she promised me greatness in the future. And also, I believe the best in people, just like many of you believe the best in your person. And just believing that she was going to get it right. Okay, yeah, it went crazy. She broke up with me again. She did whatever again. But like, next time, it's not going to be like this. I had the hope. I really did. Even though I knew it was far-fetched, I had the hope that she was going to get it right. And so that was enough to keep me in for 3 years or over 3 years. I was in therapy the whole time, not with the therapist I'm with now, but like, how do I make this work? And I was always trying to do something different, like I know many of you have done. But here's the thing. We knew from the beginning it wasn't right, or from quickly on, or whatever point. And see, some of them do it slowly. Like I said, I knew stuff was off from the beginning, but it took a long time to really realize how wrong it was. And like the true colors really were just shining bright, And it's like, by that point, you're hooked. Like I had actually gotten away from her for about 2 months from the beginning. I was like, you know what? This is just, I wasn't hooked yet though. But she would keep texting me and whatever. And after like 2 months, I finally came back. And then after I came back that time, I was hooked. I was addicted. I was physically addicted. That's what I'd call like pulling up those pictures the other night and stuff. That's part of the addiction. This is a detox thing. This is going to take time, folks. And to add to that, like I said, going through the pictures, I remember there's one specific video. And I probably, honestly, being real, I probably watched it 10, 15 times. I even watched it today. I don't like to admit that, but that's why you don't do it. It was like, again, I got my hit. And so then I wanted another hit, and it kind of sucked me back in temporarily. I've broken free from that, and that's why I'm speaking about it. But like, yeah, like on one of the videos, it was like her just being, I would call a true, genuine part of her, and like the real her. She actually had trauma from a young age, and I can identify what that is for her, and she even knows what it is, But like, before that time happened in her life, like her nickname from her own family was Sweetie something, like Sweetie was in it, because she was like the sweetest. Everyone said how sweet and kind and loving she was. And that got crushed at a very young age. But that really, really sweet, caring, loving side did surface often in our relationship. And so like I saw it there in that video, and just the way she laughed and hearing her voice, and when it was good, we were in really good times, and hearing her laugh and seeing her voice, that also, it's like, yes, again, most beautiful woman I've ever been with. Fire, intimate life, really sweet and loving and kind and caring at times. Like I said, she was a monster also, but it's like, yeah, I stayed in it because she was, to be simple, she was hot. We had a fire, life, and she was really sweet, kind, caring, and loving. But then that also always came falling, crashing, and burning. But I just wanted to touch on that, because it's like, no, I didn't stay with her because I feel like I that's all I deserved. No, I stayed with her because she was super hot. She looked like the woman I always imagined I wanted to marry. We had a great physical connection, and she did do some really sweet, kind, caring, loving things for me when she wasn't destroying me and ripping my heart out and dragging me through the mud and almost causing me to lose my life and lose everything else that I did. You guys know the story, but I just want to speak on that. So again, I'm coming against, I didn't stay with her because I was neglected as a child or I was abused as a child. I stayed with her because I was hooked to an incredibly gorgeous, checked all my boxes physically wise. And again, I know that's lustful. I know that, call it shallow, call it whatever. But like, most guys are going to fall into that. We want someone beautiful, who's sweet and kind and caring. And she gave me that. But then she gave me all that other side too. And so that was part of the problem. But just wanted to make that edit real quick and add that in. So yeah, but the quicker you can get to stop worrying about the why and getting to the what are you going to do about it. I'm going to use an analogy real quick, and I promise I'm wrapping up this video because, like I said, I'm making these shorter this year. I've been in basically professional athletics for the last 17 years. I've been in some of the top shape you could be out of athletes out there due to what I participated in, and I would call horrible shape for myself. And I could sit around all day and think about, why am I not in shape right now? What caused me to get to this? What from my past has caused me to be out of shape and out of the gym? But what is that going to do to fix my situation? Absolutely nothing. Until I get up and get off the couch and put down the fried chicken and go to the gym and start crushing the gym again, I'm going to stay out of shape and out of where I want to be. Although I understand why, I can sit there and reminisce on all day. Why, well, I'm missing her. I'm thinking about this toxic relationship, this whatever. That's the why for why I'm not in shape right now. But understanding the why isn't doing anything for me to get in shape. So I use that just as an analogy. The why doesn't matter. What are you going to do about it moving forward? This is a new year. This is a new opportunity. And like I said, we're doing things differently this year. Yeah, just to end on a couple other points here. Not everyone that's in a toxic or abusive relationship has undealt with childhood trauma or had narcissistic parents. I know a lot of you did, and a lot of you went through some horrendous things, and I do not discount it. But the whole, call it narc abuse community, is putting that on all the call ourselves victims, the abused, whatever. You know, I don't really see myself as a victim. I went through an abusive relationship. I don't identify as a victim. I was in an abusive relationship, and I'm getting out of that and on my way. And like I said, I make these videos to be vulnerable with you, to let you know that you're not alone. But not everyone who's in one of those, there are a lot, but not everyone that's been in one of these relationships has some undealt with childhood trauma, or their parents were neglectful and abusive, or they went through some molestation or whatever. Like, that's not everybody out there. And I'm not discounting you for those of you who've been with it, but that's why this channel is different. I'm not just going to say what everybody else is saying. This is truth. This is my truth. This is what I've come to find. And I know there's others out there that feel the same way. So hopefully this is encouraging for everybody. You know, like I said, everyone's just kind of regurgitating the same thing over and over. I see it across all the channels, and I don't want to be like that. So again, you don't need to have been in childhood trauma or had toxic parents to be in a toxic relationship. You could just be a really kind, caring, loving person. You saw the best in somebody, and regardless of what their physical was like, there's something that in that person that you saw that you wanted. I never sat there and like, oh, I'm a piece of crud and I deserve. No, never. I knew I didn't deserve that. That's why I always fought against it, and even from the beginning fought it, and even walked away from it for a couple months. I chose to walk away from it. But like I said, once she got me back in and actually got me addicted, like a drug addiction, I am detoxing. You are detoxing. Going back and looking at those pictures, that was actually kind of getting a hit for me. And guess what? When I opened up my phone, I didn't close out of there. So the first thing I saw when I opened my phone this morning was a picture of me and her, my favorite picture of me and her. So that started my day, and it's been on my mind. And like I said, going over and looking at the pictures of the sonogram and the video of the sonogram and stuff, that was emotional. But that also, I think about it, it's emotional, but like it pulled me back into the relationship almost for a moment. And then I was sitting there just thinking about all the good times. Like, I have plenty of videos and reminders of all the bad times and text messages and all that stuff, but I didn't want to see any of that. I just wanted to feel the good. But that really isn't beneficial for what I'm trying to do here. So I just encourage you to try to not do that. You know, if you do, you do. But like, my encouragement to you is keep them in the past. Keep the past in the past. The why, get to the bottom of it. If you've really been through something and you need to identify that, and you keep going to these toxic, broken relationships, sure, get to the bottom of that. But even with that, once you find that information out, what are you going to do about it moving forward? Because until you block this person and get away and stay away, until you remove the pictures, until you remove the memorabilia around your house, until you stop thinking about the good times, and if you need to think about something, remember the bad times and why you should stay away, that's what you need to do moving forward. You can understand why all day long. But until you're wanting to do something about the why, or about what you need to do to stay away, it's just going to stay the same thing. If you continue to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result, that's literally the definition of insanity. So I'm going to wrap it up. I went even a little bit longer than I wanted to, but yeah, I love y'all. God bless y'all. Christ is King. He's the way, the truth, and the life. I'm doing this truly through him and through his word, renewing my mind by his word, letting him take my heart of stone, turning it to a heart of flesh, sending those things packing, but keeping myself filled with the Holy Spirit. I love y'all. Happy New Year. God bless y'all. Peace.